everything that I have done in the last 5 days. I took Theraflu, vitamin C, steam, rest, use next D. Tylenol, neti pot, vapor rub, ginger tea pop. Mulling blend, NAC, Nin Jong Pe Pa Qua. That's Chinese cough syrup, in case you didn't know. It's full of herbs and honey, and you get a huge bottle for not a lot of money. I took bronchial formula, did straw phonation, pulled my ears, took a mind vacation. I watched a lot of Hallmark Channel movies. Inhaled eucalyptus oil, took tabs in, showered in an onion poultice. Ask me how. I nebulized, took prednisone, snorted nasal spray, no talking, no phone, except for endless scrolling and games. And finally, qigong, tapping, meditation, napping, and last but not least, Ricola! Thank you. It's been a wonderful audience. Good night.
Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. Who or what are you celebrating today? I'm celebrating the fact that I don't have any of those symptoms right now. That's my dear friend, Andrea Wolper, who will be on in a few moments. But today we're going to be celebrating leadership through our art, the work that we do, how we present ourselves to our public, and how our public presents themselves to us. And I can't think of a better person to bring on first than my dear friend, Doris DeForest, because this man is a leader. He is on the SAG board. He is putting out coffee clutch videos every morning. He just did a very successful, how many years, DeForest?
11 years.
11 years at the Triad and in the past, the Iridium. I saw it there the first time. And he packs them in every single time. So welcome to the show, Ray.
Hi, everyone.
So, Ray, I'm going to begin by, first of all, who or what are you celebrating today?
Well, for those who don't know, I live with inoperable stage, grade 5 prostate cancer. And so I celebrate literally every day. I mean, I was not supposed to live past last Christmas, 2024. The doctors said that
I'm going to rephrase that. You were not scheduled to live, but you were supposed to.
Yeah. So I made it. I beat the odds. I take a lot of medicine. I go see a lot of doctors, but I have learned that life changes in a moment, never when you expect it to. And so you must live loudly, authentically, and find joy in every day. That's what I celebrate.
That's great. I have a friend, I'm not going to mention any names because this is up to her to give her name, but she is also dealing with cancer. She was dealing with some stomach issues, went to the doctor. Pay attention, folks. Your body will not lie to you. She was dealing with issues. She went to the doctor, and she's going to survive this, God willing. But she's dealing with similar, I'm going to say, psychological situations that you are. She's been writing about it, and her posts are phenomenal. You, being the artist that you are, you let us know what you're going through, honestly, through your coffee clutches and everything. But what is the impetus that keeps you going when there could be days where you could say, I don't want to deal with this today? We all do that. But what keeps you going?
Well, first of all, it's okay to say I don't want to deal with something today. It's okay to say I'm just going to stay in bed because I'm tired, especially if you're a performer and a producer and everything else we have to be these days to just have a career. If you're not doing 8 shows a week on Broadway, you have to create your own world. So, I mean, I allow myself.
I'm Nancy Soule. Welcome to
That shouldn't have happened. Keep going.
Hi, Nancy.
She'll be here in a few moments.
Well, I'm glad I'm alive and living to watch that. I mean, I think that, you have to just look, once you're diagnosed and you have cancer, whether you beat it or live with it, it changes your life. And when you find out that you've beaten it, or like me, I'm undetectable, it doesn't mean that journey's over. It's there every day. Every day you think, oh, is it going to come back? I don't feel well today. Is it back? I mean, it never goes away. It changes your life forever.
Mhm.
And in many ways, as artists, I think that the hardest times in our lives are the lives that feed our creativity, because it makes us really think about who we are, what we are, and where we want to go for the rest of our lives. And my life is very different since that diagnosis and radiation and all that stuff. Um, I approach life differently. My shows definitely are different. Um, and I think in many ways better.
Mhm.
I'm more in tune with who I am. And look, I've always lived out loud. Anyone who knows me knows I live out loud. There's
And
no
we
getting
appreciate
around
that.
it. you know, but I think it has taught me a very deep lesson. And I wake up. Honestly, the first thought I have is, this my last day? That's my first thought. I open my eyes, I drink my water next to my bedstand, and I think, I hope today's not my last day.
Wow.
And if it is, what am I going to do to make this day worth it? And that's how I approach the day. And sometimes that means staying in bed. Sometimes it just feels like crap. I don't feel good because I'm on a lot of medication that does affect my emotional self, my physical self. So some days I just say, well, if this is my last day, I'm staying it under my favorite double flannel blanket, and I'm going to watch Bluey on TV all day and snuggle with my dog. And that's that, because it feels
Well,
good.
Ray, one of the things that I love about you, among many things, is that you have decided, or you've made a choice, to make this a part of your platform, and it's just as much a part of you as Doris Deer is a part of you. The fact that you're an actor is a part of you. The fact that you you speak out on behalf of issues that face actors through SAG. Um, so I want to ask, how do you balance leading with this platform with listening, especially because this platform does carry a lot of weight?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's different. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, when you're a leader, it you have to learn to put the leadership to the side so that you're not always that guy. But at its core, I mean, look, at its core, leadership isn't about authority, it's about stewardship. It's about stewardship of the room, the story, the people who help you tell it, and the audience trusting you with an evening of their lives. And when it's done well, it feels less like being in charge and more like being quietly holding the door open and inviting everybody in. And, um, I, as a leader, like in my union, because I'm on the board and I'm on the sexual harassment committee and the LGBTQ committee and the awards committee, um, you I always think about my voice and how I want to be heard and what I want to say. I always write everything out. When I sit at a board meeting, and we have a lot, when you're on the SAG board, there's a lot of politics. We have to talk about the politics because we fight. For example, the Governor Hochul of New York, came to our offices last month and signed a bill into law that SAG-AFTRA actually created. And it took 4 years of going up to
Wow.
Albany and talking. And she came to the office to sign the bill. It was an amazing honor. But that's a lot of discussion in the room, discussion that's private and you can't talk about. But you have to listen. You really have to learn to listen. Being a leader is about listening. And I'm a leader. Look, my Christmas show, I have, 6 guests. That's a lot. That's a
Mhm.
lot of personality in the room, but they're all personalities that deserve respect, and you have to honor them for being there to support, they want to be there to support your show, and I'm honored to have them. And you just have to listen, and you know what? You just have to be a good human being. Treat people with respect, honor who they are and why they're there, and I mean, I find it rather easy. I mean, it's such a part of my life that there's sort of that instant switch that happens. It's like when I do Doris. Doris, that's my Staten Island accent. Oh my God. Doris. When I do Doris, dear, when I get ready, when I put that wig on and spray Chanel on my neck, that's it. I'm
Mhm.
her. My brain shifts. My brain thinks like her, acts like her. It becomes a shift. But she's also the boss. But,
Well, Ray, I'm going to let you be the boss right now and bring on our next guest. We have 4 amazing people waiting in the wings. So pick a number 1 through 4, and I will bring the next person on.
4.
And I am very excited that she's here. First time on the show, Janice McCune. Let's start tonight, Sunday, January 25th at 7 p.m. at Don't Tell Mama. And I will be there. I have my tickets. And here you are, Janice.
Hello. I hope you can hear me okay.
You can. This is perfect.
Good.
And can you hear, do you and Ray know each other?
No, but I've so enjoyed just listening to you now. So
Thank
nice.
you.
So, Janice, you can talk about anything that we just talked about, or you can take us down another path. This is your moment.
Well, I was thinking about leadership and what that means. I consider myself a quiet person, which means I grew up in a household that was already full of divas, and I learned to listen for most of my life. This is my first solo debut show. I didn't start singing in front of people till I was in my 40s. So leadership for a quiet person, Ray, you mentioned listening. It really, to me, is rooted in listening. I happen to have a corporate day job. And when I was hired 4 years ago, I knew I'd be having 8 people report to me remotely that did not know me. And I thought, I really am going to need to show up and listen and also share and be authentic. Put myself be vulnerable, because I think that's all one can do to then gain trust and build a relationship. And I think that's key to leadership.
I
Uh,
love that. Janice, I'm always curious when I meet someone who has come to cabaret later in life, as opposed to someone like Ray and myself who started doing it in our backyards when we were children. So, how did you find cabaret, or how did the cabaret community find you?
well, I mentioned in my 40s, I just wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone. And the thought really was, I love singing so much. It means so much to me. I don't want to, be on my last day on the planet and regret that I hadn't pushed myself. And what I did was I went on the internet and I found Helen Baldessari's
Ah,
cabaret performance workshop with Greg Teroyan. And I did that work with her for 10 years. Uh, and I loved it because in cabaret, I can be myself. Acting was always a challenge for me, putting on someone else. Um, but also being what I call a quiet person, it gives me permission to share and, um, not like actually people sit and listen to you for a little bit.
well, do you have any performing background prior to coming to this show?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, first of all, my mom raised us in a musical household, singing all the time. And
Good
I was
for
in
her.
choir and I was in school theater. And with Helen's classes, of course, we did performance workshops. So I did the cabaret performances. And for many years, I've done the 3-song, 5-song sets with Singhnasium, also with Lenny Watts. Um, so, in that sense, I have been performing in a sense
Mhm.
my whole life, but putting together, I didn't know my first night. I thought, I don't know if I can sing and talk and hold everyone's attention for an hour. I've never done that before. But I did premiere the show, 3 times now. So I feel pretty confident.
Well, that's great. I got another question before we bring our next guest on. A lot of people, and we know who they are, come along, they sign up for a class, and after a class or two, they say, I'm ready to do a show. And maybe they are, and maybe they're not. But 10 years it took before you took that leap of faith. Number one, why did it take 10 years? And I know that a lot of it may have to do with your life, having a corporate job and all of those things. And what was the deciding factor that made you say, now is the time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I can tell you the day I wrote the text to Lenny Watts and asked him if he would direct me. It was the day I listened to a radio show that Marge Helenchild was leading in public radio. She's in the cabaret community, and she was interviewing 3 people who had done solo shows with Lenny and asking them about the process. And it kind of demystified it a little to me because they just kept talking about Lenny so much that Helen, she had to stop the show to tell people who Lenny Watts is. And I thought, so I can just collaborate with Lenny and my music director, and they will guide me, and we will create it together. And that trust I already had with Lenny through taking his classes. I wrote the text. I didn't send it till the next day. Um, and he said, "Of course, I'll direct you." And then it became just so much fun.
Now,
Um,
did the two of you know each other prior to that?
yeah, so
Okay.
I worked with Helen, but then she stepped away from teaching, and I switched over to Lenny just in 2022.
Well, good for you. And I can't wait to see your show. I'm going
Thank
to be
you.
there cheering you on. So, Janice, you're going to bring on our next guest. Door number 1, door number 2, door number 3.
Okay, I'm going to choose number 2.
And he also has a new show coming up. For those of you who do not know, he is now the centerfold from Cabaret Scenes magazine. Here he is as the centerfold. God bless him. And his new show, Boy Band. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he's also directed by Lenny Watts.
That is
so
correct.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. Hello, Janice. Hello, Ray. It's nice to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
And congratulations on being the centerfold for Cabaret Scenes.
Oh, how unexpected. I always dreamed that someday I could be a centerfold. I thought that possibility was 30 years ago, when I had a body. But who knew that
you have a body now?
Point in my life, I do have a body. But yeah, no, it looks better in a jumpsuit than, maybe with the right lighting.
So, John, how long have you been doing cabaret now?
This is 10 years
Wow.
that I've been doing cabaret, but I came to cabaret kind of late. I always dreamed of doing cabaret, but I didn't. I didn't have a map of how to get there, and I got busy. I have a corporate job as well, and sometimes just keeping a roof over your head keeps your attention more than pursuing your art. So yeah, about 10 years ago, I did my very first cabaret show. And
Well, how did cabaret find you, or how did you find cabaret?
so to be honest, my husband and I went to a performance of Ginger Minge, the drag queen.
Yes.
And after the show, we were drinking with her band, and we went to we went from bar, we kind of bar hopped. And at 2 a.m, I was really drunk, and I looked at her music director and I said, well, she doesn't pay you enough to pay your rent. You must do this for other people. I want to sing. And so I started singing with him. And then, we had a couple of sessions, and he told me I should do a show. I was like, yes, please. So
Are you still working with him?
no, he lives in Montana now.
Okay.
But I found Lenny Watts and took a class with him and Michael Holland. And I've done a couple of shows with Michael Holland as music director. And for this show, I'm working with Lenny and Tracy Stark.
Oh, great team.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, both you and Janice love, and I loved Lenny as well. I've never had him as a director, but we've shared stages together. And what is it for you personally that Lenny brings to the table as a director?
He brings a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas, but he's great at looking at the performer and imagining what they might be able to do. And so he's able to suggest things that really seem like they fit me well, but they're things that I wouldn't have thought of. And I think he brings a good eye. He can tell me, because sometimes you have whack-a-mole ideas and you're like, would this work in a million years? And he'll say, yeah, it could, which is very exciting. Or he'll say, maybe we should just adjust it a little. And, you just can't do that for yourself. We can't see ourselves the way we are seen. So I think that is, and I think he brings a great eye and a lot of taste. And
So who planted the seed for boy band?
oh, boy
I have
band.
to say this. Over the years, I have loved your artwork.
Oh, thank
Just
you.
love what you come up with. Every show is unique, and I just love it. So,
Well, I love doing it. And boy band just came to me. Oh, it came to me in a class with Lenny. I started bringing boy band songs in to just, work on in class. That's really how this show started. Tracy was the music director in that class, and we started doing these songs. And the other people in the class responded. And I thought, well, let's do this because I love that music. I love boys. And what's not to love? And I kind of feel like Ray was talking about how getting up and every day, we're kind of living in dark times right now, and I kind of feel like I want to do something to make people smile, fun songs, and hopefully do them in a very fun way.
Well, I can't wait to see your show. I'm going to be there cheering you on, and it's going to be it's fun. And I too like boy bands, so well, I can't wait to see what you bring to the table. So, John, stick around, but you're going to bring on our next guest. We have two incredible women waiting in the wings. So you pick door number 1 or door number 2.
I'm going number 1 all the way.
Well, she tried to sneak in before, and here she is, and we'll meet her on the other side.
Journey of transformation. Are you ready to live out loud? Want to see the sounds that sail the sea? I'm going to show you a video about some of the folks that are getting paid to travel the world and play their music on cruise ships. You might see something in here where you think you might fit in. If you do, have a look at my ebook that comes at the end of my chapter for a lot more information. In the meantime, enjoy the journey, enjoy the transformation, and welcome aboard. Come sail away. Come sail away with me, yeah. Bon voyage.
Why do people break up? Who turned around and made
Some folks like to get away, take a holiday from the neighborhood. I'll be back to Miami Beach or Hollywood.
We back?
Are we
Yes,
still
1
on?
second, guys.
Oh my gosh.
I'll get you back on.
I've messed up the whole system.
This file was larger than most files, and I had to figure out how to get it here. So let's see how I can get you all back on here. And I just here we are. Hold on. I'm going to make this work. I'm learning as we go along. The file was so large, I couldn't get it on. Here. There I am.
You're here. Good. There we are. Woo!
Here we are. I figured it out.
Oh my God.
Moving along. Obviously, Nancy, she lives on the high seas. I may be the skipper, but she's always on the seas. Her latest book is Speak at Sea, Sail for Free. I just got it. And I just love her. And I'm so glad that you're here.
Well, thank you, Richard. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love all this cabaret stuff. I mean, that's kind of where I got started. In fact, I got to throw this in while I'm thinking about it, because if anybody out there is looking into do cabaret, Subatsuki has the perfect, I'm all about the books, as you know.
Yes.
So Cabaret is an amazing book that tells you everything you need to know. So huge book.
And the things that are not in the book, you cover in your other books.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, you started out as a singer. You've also worked as a costumer.
Mhm.
You are a writer yourself. You could just go out there and do the work and call it a day. But you like to share the wealth with other artists. What is it about this field that you want everybody to succeed at?
Oh, well, when I found this job, I've been trying for years, and before the internet was a thing, nobody knew how to get there. You don't know who to call, how to make it happen. And I spent so many times trying to figure out the process, and I couldn't. And when I did find, I tell you in the book how I did it. When I did find a way in, I thought, oh my God, there's got to be a better way for people to find out how amazing this opportunity is to get paid to do what you love, travel the world for free, and save some money, see the world, and play with some amazing players from all over the world. There are, people from every little country. There's like 70 to 90 different countries on each ship, let alone the places you go. So being able to collaborate with other performers, be able to just to live with them, for 4 to 9 months, whatever. It's just such an incredible opportunity, and to expand your horizons and understand different cultures and places. And that was my motivation really with the books, was just the first one, Work at Sea, was just to help general crew, because the publisher thought musicians was way too small a niche. I said, okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
As it is for all of us, COVID changed the way the world is. What are some of the biggest changes since COVID that you have found in terms of how that world operates? Things that you love that have changed, and things that you really regret that are no longer in place?
Yeah, it made a huge change. In fact, fortunately I was not on a ship when we got shut down, but I was off for let's see, April, May, June, July, 8 months before I did the first back to service back in Singapore, because they were the first ones who pretty much kind of had it under control. They were testing everybody all the time, and they let us start out with one little thing, and it took us a couple of months to get the ships back in order, because they'd been just idle for so long, and mechanics didn't work, and the sets that didn't come up and down, and the stage lifts were kind of rusty, and they had to do a lot of things like that. But it changed the whole perspective of how people related to each other. I mean, there used to be a time when you went into the dining room and people would join, they would share, they would big tables, and everybody would meet new people and all of that. And since then, it's kind of gone down to the twos and the fours, and everybody's in their own little thing. But it had some interesting ramifications on the way structure was, and that I got big stories in the notes that flow book about what happened with how we got back to service, because there was a lot of restrictions. We had barriers, and the poor guys that were playing in the pub, but the pub guitarist nobody could sing, and nobody could dance, and it's like, because you could have to take off masks to drink, and it's like, oh, it was good. So that's loosened up. So we're kind of back to normal there, but there's still a lot of precautions.
Well, my prayer is that we will never go back to anything like that again in our lifetimes. But I want to ask, before we bring on Andrea, who's waiting patiently in the wings, what do you think is the most asked question that you're asked? I know you do a lot of podcasts as well, and a lot of people who want to do what you're doing, want to be a part of that world. What's the one question that you're asked more than anything, and what is your answer?
How do I do it? How do I get there? And honestly, the answer is kind of multifaceted, because it depends on who you are, what country you're from, what your skill level is, and how you relate to people. You can be a monster bass player, but if you can't cooperate with people and listen and be part of the group, you're not a good fit. And you have to be willing to take off and leave for months at a time which is not everybody's cup of tea. So there's a lot of parameters. And so that's what got me started with my business, is my Global Musician Academy, trying to help people understand whether they're a good fit or not. It sounds glamorous, and it is, but you got to be the right personality and skill set to fit in. So that's what I'm trying to help people do.
Well, I want to bring on someone who does fit in, and she's got a birthday coming up, and I have my tickets to go and celebrate with her, and I'm glad that she's here. Out of all the friends that I have, I've known Andrea longer than I think anyone, including my husband. I know that we've known each other longer.
Yes, we go back to the 80s. We were in a pretty bad off Broadway show together.
Awful Broadway show. I'll share this very quickly, and we talked about this before on the show. This was in the 80s, everyone, and we were doing a show in a theater that also served as a sex club after hours. And so you never knew what to expect when you got to the theater the next day.
Sign me up.
There were baskets of paraphernalia, I'll say, backstage. It was really something.
That's where I left it.
Oh, we'll do a show about that. We've got to do a whole show. Andrea, I mean, first of all, I want to go back to how we opened the show today. You opened with this incredible video, and I'm sure it's probably from experience.
Yeah, so that was from 2024. I had just released another album, and that was the CD release concert. And 5 days before, I got really sick. And I sent it to you because I have gigs coming up, and I'm just getting over the sniffles now. But that was kind of a disaster because I was really sick 5 days before that gig. And I just did everything I could possibly do to get myself in shape for singing. And then the day before, as it said in the beginning of the video, I just thought, well, I could list everything and make a little thing out of it. And, my band members had no idea that this was going to happen. I just asked, walking bass line, and everyone, we're jazz musicians, so people just know what to do. We're improvisers. So that's what that was.
So, you're going to be performing, as I said before, on your birthday. I quite frankly love to perform on my birthday. I'm going to be in Palm Springs on my birthday. I can't wait. February 11th, if anyone's out there in Palm Springs. But you're doing 2 sets.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there, as I said, for the first set at 6:00, and I'm bringing a very dear friend of mine from California.
Oh, nice.
So who will be exposed to you for the first time.
Okay.
What do you hope that audiences will come away from or with your shows?
Boy, that's a good question. The thing is, when I'm going to back up a little bit and say I related to certain things that Janice and John said about coming to it late, because I've been doing this for more than 30 years, but I came to it a little bit late, actually. It's a significant birthday. And I went through, it took me a while to get from being very scared when I started tiptoeing back into singing after having stopped for a while, from being very, very scared to feeling the most free and the most myself when I'm singing. And it's such a great experience to have that. And so I guess I would say that I hope that the audience can feel and experience some of that freedom, because it's different than anything else in life. Mm-hmm. It's not, I don't, at least for me, I don't know any other way in life, any other thing in life that gives me that same sense of freedom.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't start out as a jazz singer.
That is correct.
Yes. How did that transition happen for you? And what do you love about this genre that's very different from what you were doing before?
It kind of happened. I don't know if I found it or if it found me. It was sort of when I was younger, I started out in theater, and a little bit, doing a little bit of cabaret, but not much. And then I went through some stuff, and kind of pulled away from it all. And then I just missed singing, and I started taking singing lessons a lot, taking singing lessons just for fun, for myself. And sidebar, now I teach a lot, and I get some students like that, and I love working with those students so much because I've been there. Um, and I just started kind of tiptoeing back into singing and putting one foot in front of the other, and ended up on this path of jazz, and just felt like this is home. This feels like where I want to be. And I think what I love about it is that because it's an improvisational music, it asks me to go out on a limb in ways that nothing else has. And I found that the more I'm willing to do that, the more rich and alive and rewarding it is for me. So
I'm reading something you wrote
that's
the
it.
other day about jam sessions and how
Oh,
it was a process that you learned to
yeah.
that wasn't, that comfortable for you. I don't want to put words in your mouth when you first started out, but that it was something that, you said that you're still learning, from jam.
Well, yeah. I mean, I made that post because in Jazz Facebook, there was a little kerfuffle where some guy had behaved badly at a jam session, at a well-known jam session here in town, and it got blasted over. It's like when someone has their worst moment and people just put it on social media and shame the person. It was one of those things. And a lot of people were posting this and all of that. And I just thought, there's so many, the guy, he behaved badly, but he's not an ICE agent, I mean, he's like, do we really have to shame this kid who just doesn't know what he's doing? And so I just kind of wanted to remind people that we've all gone through this process of going
It
to
happened on
sessions.
CBS this past week. I don't know if you all are aware of that,
What's that?
but the new anchorman, his first night out, and teleprompters weren't going on, news items weren't coming in, everything, and he publicly stated, "This is my first night. Things are not working." And we've, and sometimes, and I know that, Ray and I can't speak for John or Janice, but Ray and I both come from acting backgrounds. And there have been moments where we've been on stage where things go wrong and you don't have the luxury of breaking that fourth wall and saying, we're on the wrong track here.
When Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse loses his head in front of the castle at Walt Disney World.
But, I was doing a show once, and the actor that we rehearsed with, it was his first show. He was great in the rehearsal process. But when he walked out on stage for that opening night, he froze. And he froze for the entire show. And everybody was feeding him his lines. And the audience was hysterical because, and the play was Clever Little Lies. And I'm playing the father, and my girl's going to marry this guy. And I'm trying to pull the lines out of him. It was just crazy.
That's one of the things about live music, though, whether it's a more improvisationally based music like jazz or cabaret, you really are very present to the moment and to thinking on your feet and listening deeply to the music and feeling the vibration from the audience and responding to that moment by moment. I think that's one of the things that for me is so rewarding about it.
Absolutely. Well, I want to go around and I want to ask each of you, I put together some questions that deal with leadership through our art. And I'll start with you, Ray. And how do you define leadership as an artist, especially in spaces where you don't really feel that you are a leader, or perhaps you always feel like you're a leader? I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. I recently did a reading for a new queer playwright. And, I walked, now I haven't done that in a while, and I got a call and I read it and I thought it was great. So I walked into the room And I was clearly much older than everybody in that room. It was mostly 20 somethings. But the part was one of an older person. And I wasn't the leader. There was a director, a writer. It wasn't my place to say, how about this? I mean, as an actor, I could talk about my acting, but um, we did a quick read through, and then the director said, I think we should have Ray speak to us since he's the elder. And, I was like, oh, is so in your brain is racing because you can't waste time, and I'm thinking, okay, did I just get sort of an ageist insult from someone who didn't mean to, or is that a respectful kind of thing? And I took it as being a very respectful thing because I was the elder. I'm 67 and those people were 23 years old. So that's 40 something years. And it was an LGBT piece. I'm an LGBT leader, quote unquote.
And you have to also say, if you don't mind my jumping in here, that being the elder in the room, because I'm finding that many times I am also the elder in the room, that those younger members of the LGBTQ community have a completely different perspective than what you and I have gone through.
And it was interesting to sit with that group of people who wanted. So the piece was about something that existed in New York back in a time when I was a young queer person. And so I knew this place. I knew the people, the owners, the people who hung out there. So I found it really cool that they were so interested in the truth. Obviously, the play was part truth, part theatricality, because you have to theatricalize the truth to make something compelling and that people want to hear. So I found it really interesting that those young kids or young adults really wanted to hear sort of the truth of it all. And in my shows, Richard, you've been to my shows. I mean, Doris tells true stories about growing up in Staten Island. It's a comedy. How could it not be? I mean, but they're truthful stories, but they are theatricalized for an audience to laugh, cry, feel joy, feel embraced by family.
And to look back.
And to look back, because I do look back with a raised eyebrow, because someone said, oh, I wish we could live back then. I was like, well, yeah, you're a white cis man. Of course you want to live back then.
Well, I was...
let's be real.
I'm going to move on to Jan. I was just listening to an incredible interview that you did, I think just a few days ago, or maybe in the last month, with a psychologist. Oh, yeah. And you were talking about those moments in the rumpus room, and you were talking about your parents. And the interviewer asked if the kids were allowed to be in the rumpus room. And then you took us right there. Your parents were in their 40s when they were doing this. And we all imagine who and what we were like in our 40s.
Absolutely. No wonder they were in the rumpus room with all their friends every Saturday, drinking and smoking themselves till 6 a.m. I was doing that in the clubs when I was in my 40s, for God's sake. And we were middle class. They couldn't afford much. So, of course, they gathered and became a family of people in a way and celebrated as they could. And they had 2 kids and paying for schools. We were hardworking middle class Union family. So yeah.
Wow.
I learned from the best.
You learned from the best. Janice, I want to ask you, I mean, you've already talked about Helen Baldessari, Lenny. What can you share a moment when they helped you to feel seen as an artist?
Wow. I mean, what I can say about Helen and Gregory Troyan, that was my first class for a number of years. I always told people they replaced the tapes in my head. Well, anything that was negative or that made me uncomfortable, I just replaced it with how supportive Helen and Gregory were. And the message that I got was all over and over again: be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you bring to the table. Show up as yourself, and you don't have to worry about anything else. And I rely on that, even before I perform. I remind myself, all I need to do tonight is be me. And everything's going to be great. So I'm not sure if that exactly answered your question.
Well, it
but
does answer my question, absolutely. John, I want to ask you, what responsibility, if any, do you feel that you have to lead through your art during the times that we're living in right now?
Well, just playing off what Janice said, I think I go into any situation, just like she said, just being authentically myself, but also being honest. It's something I'm struggling with now. I'm like, I don't know, should I call, I have family members who voted for Donald Trump. I'm like, should I call them and say, hey, how are you feeling now?
Mhm.
Are you still, I wonder about that. But as far as, I just feel like it's important to be ourselves, to be honest, and bring a good attitude to whatever endeavor we're doing, whether it's putting on a show or having a difficult conversation with a family member or a coworker. Always do it with openness and love. And I think that as long as we're not judging other people and we're open to their responses, I think that's the way that we can find a way out of the mess we're in now.
Oh, well said. I totally agree with you. Nancy, in what ways do you feel that your personal identity has shaped how you lead through your performance and through your writing?
Oh my gosh. What got me into this was because I had spent so many years in cover bands, having to be Madonna, Michael Jackson, James Brown, this guy. And to be able to find your own voice was huge. And so that's not my house. Coming to get me. So being able to become, as the others have said, becoming yourself was huge. And as a leadership thing, it became apparent at one point I had to be the band leader on the ship band, and had to get the new guy into the groove and get him set up, and I had to take charge at one point. And even now, I'm a costumer, so I'm on the ships all the time, and I have teams that I work with as well. And I'm always in the theater and the musicians and being able to just be yourself and still try to hold the standards of what you're trying to accomplish is trying to be an inspiration to them, as well as being yourself as best you can, and just listening, as you said, being able to understand their positions and what works the best for them as well.
That's great. Andrea, have you ever hesitated to step into the leadership role because of fear, visibility, or criticism? And what helped you move through it?
As a jazz vocalist, you kind of become a leader band-wise, if perhaps even before you're really ready. But as I said in that post about Jam Sisters, if you go in with, I think, the right intentions and you're open to learning, because the people that you're playing with probably know a lot more than you, and you're going to learn from them. And so just over time, you get better and better and stronger and stronger. And sometimes there's still things that are challenging. But some of the things that you were just talking about that someone else had sparked something else I wanted to say. I'm sorry, I forget what it was. But I saw something else. A singer posted something yesterday on Facebook about how she just feels like right now things are so awful that it almost feels self-indulgent to sing, and it's just hard, And I think many of us feel that way. I do feel that it's an incredible privilege to get to do this, to get up in front of people and sing. It's just like how most people don't get to do something they love. So it's an incredible privilege. It's also, I think, important for me, and maybe this, I've always done human rights activism and had a very political, paid a lot of attention to politics and things like that. And so I try to do something, to help the situation, not just to lament about it, but to also try to help. I think putting music and art into the world does help. I think that alone helps. I think right now we got to do more than that. And I look to a lot of people who are much wiser than I for inspiration. I want to share this quote from Paul Robeson. As an artist, I come to sing, but as a citizen, I will always speak for peace, and no one can silence me in this. And I love that.
And that's one of my favorite quotes. I love that quote.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Well, I want to thank you all for showing up and saying yes to me. And Nancy, I'm glad you made it. Nancy had trouble getting on the last time. She's back. I'm going to give each and every one of you a chance to have your final word today. It could be about anything that we spoke about that you want to build upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had. This is your chance. Or just any final message you want to leave everyone with today. It could be anything that's on your mind. This is a safe space. So I'm going to give each of you a chance. When I finish, I will pick one of you, and then you will pick the next person, and so on and so on. For everyone who's watching, thank you for saying yes to being here. Please hit the like button if you did indeed like today's show. Leave a comment on YouTube and hit the share button. That will increase the ranking for this show showing up. And I ask that all of you do the same thing, please. That will help us. I end all my shows with the same message, and that is to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. We all have these little devices. I want you all to go to your Facebook friends list. You're all on Facebook, right? And I want you all to reach out to the 6th name that pops up with a phone call, not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, a phone call, and let that person know that they matter. It's needed now more than ever. And you never know. And let me know how it goes, because so many people write back to me and they go, oh my God, I called this person I haven't spoken to in years, or this happened, or that door opened. And talk about anything we talked about today. I have a dear friend, Sean Moniger, and he says we're all in the same boat, but we're in different storms. We're all in the same storm, but we're in different sized boats. And I always say, I don't care what size boat you're on, as long as you have a skipper by your side. And with that, I'm going to leave the screen, and I'm turning it over to you, Ray, and then we'll pick the next person. Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you, Richard.
Well, I'm very happy that we have Richard as our skipper maneuvering these waters, and I'm very honored and proud to be able to do what I love for 47 years. It's been truly a gift, and it has gotten me through some very hard times in my life, but I have always been able to do this full time. And it is just such an honor for me to have that in my life. And I would encourage anyone, I think anyone who wants to sing should sing out loud. No judgment, just go and sing. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter if you're getting paid or not, although we all need to get paid. But I mean, you should just sing, because music is joy. And now I pass it to Janice.
Thank you. Well, along that same note, my mom, she passed away about 3 years ago, but when I thought about how she lived her life, it was that every day, no matter what was happening, she would reach for joy. So that was a phrase I take with me, reach for joy. especially in times like this. I think, I take a walk in Manhattan and I sometimes will look like for beautiful flower blossoms, or in the winter, there's even some beautiful flowering things. And I think if we can all reach for joy, I do think it impacts not just ourselves, but the world around us. So I'll just pass that message on from my mom to everyone. And I will hand it off to you, John.
Oh, okay. I'm going to circle back to singing in tough times, because we are in tough times, and I'm doing a very frivolous show at the moment. But I've also had the great honor of singing at many funerals in my life. And I find it's a comfort to me, but to be able to sing and bring sort of any kind of comfort possible to those families that are grieving. Your voice, the voice can be celebratory, it can comfort, it can delight. So just use it. So, and I'm going to hand it over to Andrea.
Thank you. Gosh, thank you, Richard. I know you're still with us, though we don't see you on screen. You model good listening. You started out talking about listening, and I have to say you modeled it I was the last one to come on, so I got to really listen to all these interviews. You model listening. Thank you. And every time I've done one of these, I end up feeling uplifted and inspired by what everybody says, and I mean that so sincerely. Yeah, singing is for everybody. Absolutely. And I guess I'm just going to leave you. I have my little list of inspirational quotes because they really do help me. So another favorite is from F. Scott Fitzgerald. I think it's from his book, The Crack Up. And I'll leave you with this. The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. One should, for example, be able to see that things are hopeless and yet be determined to make them otherwise. I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Wow. Andrea, that was powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Well, I get the last word. This is kind of crazy. I love the fact that everyone is doing their thing and they are not hampered by the need to feel like they have to fit into something. Be yourself and share your joy and share the music, because the music is so, so powerful to be able to get us more connected, and which is really what we need right now. And it's more than just the music. It's the listening, it's the cooperation, and it's the harmony that we can all create in the world. So thank you all for being here. This has been amazing.